Beijing is retaliating after the federal government expelled a Chinese diplomat accused of trying to intimidate a Conservative MP. Ottawa has given Toronto-based diplomat Zhao Wei 5 days to leave Canada. CSIS alleges he was involved in a plot to intimidate Michael Chong and his relatives in Hong Kong after Chong criticized China's human rights record. Beijing has responded by declaring the consul of the Consulate General of Canada in Shanghai must leave China now by May 13th.
And joining us live this morning with more on this is Margaret McCuaig-Johnson, Senior Fellow at the Institute of Science, Society and Policy at the University of Ottawa. Really appreciate your time this morning, Margaret. The move here now obviously heating up the rhetoric and tensions again between our two countries. How do you interpret this, the Canadian expulsion and now Beijing's reaction?
Well, I would have liked to have seen the expulsion much earlier, a week ago, more than a week ago, when the news first came out from a leak with the Globe and Mail, or even 2 years ago when CSIS first learned of these threats against a sitting member of Parliament. It's important for countries to respond really quickly and firmly when something like this happens. And I think, we just took too much time to make the decision. However, it was the right decision that they made. And the Chinese government has responded in kind by expelling a Canadian diplomat. That's expected. That's the normal process in cases like this.
Yeah, kind of tit for tat. And Margaret, I'm curious to know if CSIS learned about this 2 years ago, why did they sit on it for so long? Who's accountable here?
Well, there's an investigation going on now into what happened. CSIS did send it up the line to the offices of the Minister of Public Safety, to the office of the Prime Minister. The fact that the Prime Minister and the Minister did not see the document suggests that it was held up for some reason at the bureaucratic level, and that should not have happened. This is a very serious case, and of course it comes on the heels of massive electoral interference by Beijing. And so, there should be really further Canadian action taken against China for some of the egregious things that we've been seeing over the last several months.
So 2 questions there then, Margaret. What further action could you see Canada taking, and what are the then concerns for Canadians in China right now? We saw what happened after Meng Wanzhou was collected or picked up by Canada. For the U.S., the 2 Michaels, of course, were held for years in China. What are the concerns now, and what else could Canada do?
Well, in fact, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Melanie Joly, said publicly that we were concerned about further retaliation on our trade products like canola, agriculture products that we saw halted earlier, or, some further diplomatic action, sending additional people home. We haven't seen anything yet. But China, of course, is erratic and can act quickly and with great anger. So it's possible we may have further retaliation. Canada must have a foreign agent registry. Other countries in the Five Eyes has it. We also need a public inquiry to see much more detail about what happened in China's electoral interference. So those are 2 actions we must take.
Yeah, and Margaret, before we let you go, do you see this leading to, you talked about that foreign registration, could this, what we know about now, lead to the potential screening of diplomats coming into China? We know that there are some secret police stations set up in parts of Quebec. Are you worried at all about things like this happening more often, or do you think we need a stronger plan in place?
Well, in fact, what China does is it tries different things to see what works. Right now, the government says that it's clamped down on the police stations. The offices are not closed, but the Canadian government says that the activities have stopped, and I really hope that's true. But they'll just try other things elsewhere, and so we also have to keep vigilant about how we're exposed to China's interference and do whatever we can to prevent it.
All right. Margaret McCuaig-Johnson, Senior Fellow at the Institute for Science, Society and Policy at the University of Ottawa. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.